Strangely Alright is a show about people, places, and things in the Great Northwest. People doing things a little left of center, making things uniquely their own.
And you're going to find in this little journey that some of those things come from deep down inside of us. I'm Regan Lane.
And I'm Raymond Hayden. And this is Strangely Alright.
Hi, everybody. I'm Regan Lane.
And I'm Raymond Hayden, and welcome to Strangely Alright.
Welcome. We are at the Mason United Methodist Church in the north end of Tacoma. It's the only fish food bank that's open on the weekend. And our guest today is one of those quiet contributors to the community that sometimes we just never hear about.
Yes, the Director of Development and Communication for the Fish Food Banks of Pierce County, Miss Emily Happy, is here with us today to talk about how the experiences of working with the Fish Food Banks has affected her life.
Absolutely. And people like Emily are the real inspiration behind SATV. We feel that there's a common thread that runs through all of us, and at this time of year, it's the perfect time to give back a little and show how much we care. So Raymond, should we go check it out?
Absolutely. Let's go see what's shaking.
All right. Emily Happy was born and raised in Lakewood, Washington. Her initial schooling was done at Idlewild Elementary, followed by high school at Charles Wright, Clover Park, and Pierce College. Emily then went to the University of Washington and studied psychology and followed that with a stint at Evergreen State College, getting a BA in liberal arts, writing, and social justice. E has always been involved in the community and initially shared her time in projects as varied as a poetry therapy volunteer in the King County Juvenile Detention Centers to helping with the Enfield Loaves and Fishes Soup Kitchen. From 2001 to 2005, Emily was a community project leader for Safe Homes, focusing on creating community partnerships within social service centers. Later in 2005, she started a stint as an events and activities director for Frank Toby Jones. Along with working with some remarkable seniors, she wore many hats, everything from weekly newsletter creation to management of the department budget. Are there people that come in needing help and that turn their lives around and come back and are able to give back to the food bank?
Absolutely, so many of them. In fact, some who are still receiving assistance, they volunteer also. But there are some really remarkable stories of people. In fact, right now we're sitting at Northwest Fish Food Bank. There's a gentleman who was a client here and also a volunteer. His name is Jose. And we have used his story several times. He was very courageous. He shared his family story with us. He was in the tech industry and was downsized. And he never thought that would happen to him. He was always one of those people who was organizing the school supply drives and the book drives and rallying everyone in his companies around to get support to people. And then he found that he was the one who needed assistance. And he was actually recently hired by the United Way.
Hey guys! Hey, how's it going? Hey, I heard you guys talking. I had a question for you.
What's that?
So we always build expectations when we do anything. Have your expectations exceeded themselves, or have they changed?
To be honest, I was terrified about being responsible for raising money for an organization the size of Fish that helps so many people. That's a lot of responsibility, and I feel very fortunate that my first year we had some wild successes that were unplanned and fantastic.
So it's competitive. No matter how good of a grant writer you are, you're not guaranteed just because you have a good story, you're going to get it, right?
That's so true. And I feel like it's easy to write good things about good programs, so it's not a stretch to write a really fantastic grant proposal for fish food banks, but it is so competitive. And I think people now feel that because we're coming out of the recession, that people don't need food banks. But that's the opposite. We're seeing just as many people as we did before. So we still need all the same help.
I've heard that there's a lot of corporate sponsorship that helps out, besides on the community level that we spoke about, people donating food, time, money. What happens on the corporate level? How do you go about that?
Well, first, talking about the food, we make 125 stops every single week, picking up donated food from grocery stores, bakeries, you name it. And we're so grateful for all that food that goes then directly on the shelves to help our families in need. But aside from that, kind of a remarkable thing happened for Fish Food Banks last year. We were the 2013 recipient of the Bank of America Neighborhood Builder Award. And that came with a sizable grant. I can say numbers if you want.
Sure, absolutely.
$200,000.
Oh, that's awesome.
And along with that also came leadership training so that we can develop the leaders within our organization to help really leverage that money and take us to the next level.
Explain leadership training.
So there have been 3 conferences, actually 2 conferences so far this year and 1 more to come. And so the executive director and myself have traveled to different parts of the country to be with all of the other award recipients. So it's a really big honor for us. So we all get together, we read the same books, we contribute, we answer questions, we discuss things with each other, and then we go to workshops and have a chance to see each other in person and talk about issues that we're having and how did you fix this and how do you address that.
There's so much more to it than I ever imagined, to be honest with you. I mean, really. That's so cool that you guys get together and find solutions. I'm sure a lot of the problems are similar all across the country in terms of whatever those problems may or may not be,
Absolutely. Hunger is the same in Washington as it is in Florida.
Sure.
But we need to be careful that people don't then believe that we don't still need help.
There's been some fun things that have happened here in the food bank that are pretty joyous. So
we have fun at the food bank too. This is a place where people can not only come together and share hardships, but also joys and accomplishments. So we have a lot of fun, and the volunteers make it a really positive place to be so that people come in and they can smile instead of feeling bad. And there are children. Those are always some of my favorite stories. There was a little girl and it was her birthday, and she wouldn't have had a birthday gift or a birthday cake. She came in and she was given a cake and a stuffed animal for her birthday. Her mom was in tears because she was so grateful. You should have seen the smile on that little girl's face as she held up that stuffed animal. It was the most beautiful, happy day.
So where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Lakewood.
Lakewood? What elementary school did you go to?
Idlewild.
Idlewild?
Idlewild Elementary, yeah.
Okay.
My family is actually, they were some of the first so-called settlers of Lakewood.
Really?
So back when people in Tacoma would go to the lakes out there for their summer country homes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what about high school?
I went to Charles Wright.
All right.
And Clover Park.
Okay.
And then senior year, I did Running Start
so
full time. So I didn't step foot in my high school until I was graduation speaker, and people probably had no idea who I was.
My son did Running Start.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a good program.
It's a good deal.
Absolutely.
How did you boy get so smart?
Not genetics.
We're going to let that one go.
So do you go to college? Then you continued on? Mm-hmm. What school did you go to?
I went to UW up in Seattle.
All right on.
And then I transferred partway through, and I went to Evergreen, which I loved.
Okay. Well, what did you like about Evergreen? What was so cool about that?
It was really self-directed. It has this reputation of being the hippie school,
Sure.
But I actually loved it more than UW because at UW there were classes with 1,100 people, and at Evergreen it was really personal, and what you got out of it was what you put into it.
Now, even in school, were you involved in helping people? Like, for me personally, when I was in junior high, I worked in special ed for 3 years. From 7th to 9th grade. And, that was just something that I did that was one of those things that I came across that I enjoyed that. What were some of the things that you did during junior high school, whatever?
I did some volunteering, but I would say that I don't really have a good answer to that question.
Okay.
You're gonna have to cut that out. But when I was going to,
That's going in.
when I was going to Evergreen, I was actually working full-time and taking full-time course load. And I was working for another really amazing nonprofit doing community organizing. So I was working in a little town called Prairie Ridge,
Okay.
which is part of Sumner. It's like this little kind of dead-end community. You have to be going there on purpose. You don't just pass through on accident. But at that time, they had a really bad problem with methamphetamines. So we were helping the community rally around and figure out how to become healthier and safer for all the residents there. And when we first went to lead the community meetings, we were told that we should be wearing flak jackets because our presence had been announced on the little community reader board, and they said that people with rifles were going to be sitting on top of the water tower because they didn't want us there kind of putting their so-called career in jeopardy.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
Well, and that actually is a great segue into what is, doing all this good for the community. I mean, like anything else, it's stressful. Is there any times where there's any, you get chinks in your armor, and you question, doing this? Because it's hard giving, and you don't always get back. And curious what the answer is, but the second part of that question is, what do you do when that happens to get yourself back up?
Interesting. I know that, when I was working with seniors, I loved them. I mean, they're such an undervalued resource in our community. They have such amazing stories. But when you're working with them one-on-one and you're giving and you're giving and you're giving and you're planning everything and all their activities and social good things for them, because I was a senior center director. When you get home, I didn't want to plan anything. I didn't want to do anything. My husband would say, "Oh, what do you want to do this weekend?" I don't know. I don't care. There is a little bit of burnout sometimes, but I would say that, I get such a rewarding feeling from helping people that it sort of edifies me and buoys me up even if I am feeling down. In fact, I really believe that if people are feeling depressed or feeling bad about themselves, go out and help other people. That's the best way to feel better about yourself.
Absolutely. That's crazy. Yeah.
James. What's going on with you right now? Anything exciting right now that people should know about? Like the new little baby in your life?
That is.
See how I work at it? I really care for you.
The baby is the best thing in my life.
Okay.
So 6 months ago, I had a beautiful little girl, and it changes your world, right? As you both know, it changes everything, and it's a little staggering at first, and it's a lot of work. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, you're giving all the time.
I do.
Literally.
I don't sit a lot. No.
You can sit.
I can sit now. I'm sitting now. That's nice.
The people in need that you come across, you have talked to me a couple times through Facebook, seem to be a huge part of the inspiration for doing this. And you were telling me some stories. As a matter of fact, I had to get through those stories to find out a little bit about you first, because you find these people so inspiring. Go ahead, tell us a couple.
Particularly about the food banks, I think there's such a stigma associated with asking for help, and it's a shame. I think everyone needs help sometimes, but there are such amazing people that you come across in the food banks, and they're hardworking families. They're people working multiple jobs to make ends meet. They're your neighbors. They're maybe your family member who's too embarrassed to tell you that they're going to a food bank. You never know who you're going to come across. So I think it's important that people understand it's not just people who are homeless or in totally desperate situations who have to turn to help. And in fact, we actually serve a large percentage of active military families and veterans also, which it's a shame that our community needs to have food banks at all. Ideally, we would love to put ourselves out of business. It would be great if there was no need. But to know that there are people who are willing to give their lives for our country, and then they have to ask for food, it's a big shame.
Yeah,
Well, and I think a lot of people, believe, kind of like in 2008, 2009, here recently, with the recession, people they don't think it's going to happen to them. They don't think they always look at whether it's welfare or the food banks
Right.
or whatever. And I don't know about you, Regan, but we had to go to the food banks. I'll spare the details.
Did you?
We did it. And it was hard. It was really hard. My mom had a lot of pride. We're kids. We didn't So maybe, it might be interesting, maybe you can spout out some statistics, maybe some recent statistics just locally here in Pierce County with how the needs have grown.
Absolutely.
And then maybe, carrying that into contributions and all that, because so people who are watching might know why their dollars could be vested with you guys.
Sure. So since the economic downturn in 2008, our service has increased 137%. It's staggering. And even though the economy is said to be improving in many sectors, that's not reaching the most vulnerable people in our communities. Many of us are one paycheck away from being out on the street, basically. So to feel that we're different from people who go to the food bank, it's not true.
Sure.
I consider myself lucky. So we last year in 2013, there were 562,000 client visits to our food banks. And we have 7 food banks located throughout Pierce County, and then the mobile food bank. So well over 500,000 people were served, and 40% of those are children.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. We talked about that at the food banks. Strange over at Politico, so you probably heard this, but a lot of people think that the majority of food is needed during the winter and like that. And you made an interesting point at that concert, was that 40% are kids, and during the summer they're not going to school, so they're not being supplied the
free or reduced meals,
exactly.
Right? And aside from that, people are hungry all year. So we're so lucky that we get really wonderful support in the fall and winter months. That's when most of our donations come in, and it makes all the difference. But people are hungry all year.
Yeah.
And especially during the summer when there are those extra meals to prepare, but not the extra resources to do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. What is the biggest time of the year? Because for me, I always think of November, December, and that time, maybe because it's cold and it's Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff, but people are more in need in the summertime, it seems? Is that how it appears, or is that how it works?
It's pretty consistent all year. So, about 45,000 people a month we serve, pretty consistently throughout the year.
Wow.
Maybe just during the summer, it's more the children.
Yes.
So what does the food bank do to kind of combat that a little bit? Do you guys, even though you said it's consistent throughout the year as far as the donations, do you guys bolster your efforts a little bit more during the summer or in the spring, preparing for the summer? Or
Fish purchases a lot of food, so about 60% of our food is donated from community partners and from food drives that generous individuals and businesses host for us. But we purchase a large amount of food also and spend about $500,000 a year purchasing nutritious foods so that the shelves are always stocked, that we don't run out, and to make sure that they're nutritious foods so that people have the fruits and vegetables and the proteins and the eggs so that they're not getting top ramen and mac and cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny, when you were talking and Ray had mentioned about the fact that sometimes we think we're different, that we're not like them.
Right.
And there's something I've learned in my travels is that by the grace of God go I. And, it doesn't matter what economic situation or what color or what financial status you have, that sometimes life throws us curveballs and you need help.
Yes.
So we're sitting here, it's November, and if we look at the people out there, what can people do to help out? What would you ask for right now? What are the things they can donate? What are you looking for?
The beautiful thing is that everyone has the ability to help. Most of our, or a large portion of our volunteers are also clients. So clients are a huge resource for us also. They want to give back to the organization that helps them. They work so hard for us. So volunteering, we can always use extra hands.
how do they find out about that? Is there a website that you go to? Just Fish Food Banks?
Of course there is, fishfoodbanks.org.
Fishfoodbanks.org.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a page that's Get Involved, and it has a bunch of different options and opportunities. So volunteering is a great one. Hosting a food drive is another, especially if you want to really focus it. Sometimes it's hard for people to get really excited and motivated about a food drive. What do I bring? It's
do I clean up my pantry? So it can be much easier to get people energized about it if it's focused. And another option is baby items. Those are so expensive for families in need to purchase. There are families who literally remove layers of the diaper so that they can try to continue using it for their child. I find that so sad.
Sure.
And formula, baby food, it's really expensive. So, children don't need to suffer because their families are having a hard time. So,
Well, it's interesting, thank you for sharing that. There's something else we might want to bring up, but the other statistic about the buying power that food makes.
Yes.
There's so many people. When you say everybody can, contribute, everybody can help. But to the $1 versus $7, because $10 can make a difference, right?
Even
$5 can make a
$1 makes a difference. I mean, imagine if every person in Pierce County gave $1. That would make a huge difference for our organization. So for every $1 that's donated, Fish Food Banks can turn that into $7. Actually, more than $7 worth of food.
That's awesome.
So we buy in bulk. We get great deals. If you want to go and spend $10 at the grocery store, it's way more cost effective to give that $10 to us, and we can turn it into $70 worth of food.
Nice.
What's it, 23 cents a meal or something?
You're so good. It's exactly. In fact, that actually decreased a little bit because we were so good last year. That went down to 22 cents a
He
meal.
has it all written on his hand. He's not that good.
Or I've been partnered with the issue next well.
Yeah.
That would be a great campaign. Light bulb just popped on. Seriously.
Everyone in Pierce County give $1.
No, seriously, come up with do a campaign that says, have a couple different locations and say, hey, come donate $1. Everyone in Pierce County, here's the population. Obviously, you're not going to get everyone, but it was just a buck.
So big
Can you
picture,
imagine?
money actually works better than food because of your buying power.
It does. And we're grateful for all support,
Sure, absolutely.
but money goes a long way.
We did it.
We did it.
It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much for showing us around to the Fish Food Banks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Regan.
Great story.
So much fun.
What do we do? Oh,
Hug me.
All right, cool.
Oh,
Okay.
good to see you, Ray.
Appreciate you sharing everything with us.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right,
See
take
you
care.
soon.
All
See you
right,
soon.
bye-bye.
Keep doing good stuff.
Well, I hope all of you, and you, Raymond,
I did.
enjoyed Strangely Alright TV today. We had a great time with this episode. We'll be back again in a month. We certainly hope to see you again soon. So thanks everybody on the crew. Everybody take care. Peace.
You too. You sit back there on your couch. We'll see you next time.
All right, Raymond.
See you, Reagan.
All right. Ray.
What?